Helmet lords and ladies, Jacob Butter speaking, and welcome back to another episode of... Now, many of you might be thinking to yourself, well, after insisting that I was not going to go back to the series for a number of reasons, and after multiple months of various people in the fan base of it insisting that I go back and review it again and continue where I left off, that I might have been potentially, let's call it, coerced into making this video. I can say that is not the case. I am of sound mind. I made this decision completely on my own. I don't have a gun pointing at me at all. There's nothing going on, and I'm okay. I'm good. I'm good. We'll be fine. Welcome to the video. Okay, I'm kidding. I'll drop that. No, but in all seriousness, what actually happened is, yes, there was a bunch of insistence that people were, saying like, hey, go review my Tiny Human. Hey, can you review my Tiny Human again? Hey, can you review my Tiny Human again? Hey, can you review my Tiny Human again? Bear in mind, the last time I reviewed my Tiny Human was 3 years ago. So if you're binge watching a potential future plays at some point, this might not be, this might not come across in that way. In fact, actually, as emphasis, I've got a brand new shirt today, and the last time I had like a yellow shirt like this was, I think, one that I wore excessively many years ago that I think I stopped using because it tore around the time of the last video. So as a frame of reference. And the reason that I stopped reviewing my Tiny Human wasn't because I want to give up on the show. Far from it. I don't tend to operate that way. It's only whenever someone requests that I stop watching something that I will leave it, halfway, because, even if something starts off bad, it can either it can either get better over time, or it can just continue to deteriorate, and that's just fun content in general. No, the reason I stopped reviewing my Tiny Human originally was because Jax Penwell told me that the Gacha Shipper, who he was in contact with at the time, and who I briefly got into contact with through him, through like one incident actually. There's a server that he created so we could talk to each other, but he never actually specified what we're supposed to talk about. So none of us knew anything of what to say. And clearly, one thing we have in common is our disdain of small talk. So I guess that never kind of kicked off. But thanks to that, I had the Gacha Shipper's contact info, or at least the Discord contact info. So I was able to verify the retraction of that statement, or potentially the fixing of that statement in general, which was this one. I can confirm because of that incident that this is the real Gacha Shipper Discord account. I can't remember who sent this one actually. Oh yeah, it was it was on behalf of Special 1Q, who is watching with us today, actually. Who apparently also shares this name for Bad Girls Little Boy, which I'm glad, because that is my all-time least favorite Gacha series ever. Didn't know that I had actually, briefly been in contact with Gacha Shipper before, but that was it really. So never any sort of direct info. I just I trusted Jax Penwell's word on that matter. Because it didn't seem to go bear in mind that any of the ulterior motives that we were beefing with at the time, because that was right around the time they were still at each other's heads a little bit. And then Jax himself provided that info, and then it got down to here. So eventually, throughout all of this, the fan base that has not only brought back my Tiny Human from the depths of obscurity, because the channel it was on originally got deleted, in case anyone watching this didn't know about all this was going on. But they've also decided to create their own second season of My Tiny Human, specifically, that out of a sense of a desire to continue the show. So I guess in that mind, we'll be continuing the show today in a brand new version of the Gacha Review archives because somebody called Poised Boba, I think, re-uploaded all of season 1 into a convenient playlist, and that's what we're going to be using today. So as far as I'm aware, these are the original videos as taken from the original Gacha Shipper channel before it got deleted, preserved in their original form, give or take an end screen, which won't be visible either. So yeah. All right then. Oh yeah, it's also the 4th of July. Completely forgot about that. Okay, I guess kind of ironic, I suppose, considering that I was, people insisted I review this specifically, but yeah. There's that many 4th of July gachas anyway, so anyway. Except the posts, okay, so apparently, yeah. For once, we're not the archives. Yeah, not specifically, although who knows what happens to Poised Boba in the future. Hopefully nothing, but we'll see. For now, I guess, the appropriate title for today is All Over Again. And that's certainly what it feels like. So I guess let's go ahead and crack on with it. Without further ado, on with the review. I clicked up. Okay, there we go. It's quiet. Too quiet. By the way, I don't remember what voices I did. I watched all 3 episodes that I hadn't that I reviewed previously. I watched them again just now, but I didn't watch the review, so I don't know what voice I did for anyone. So that'll be different as well. And Elliot didn't come into my room using the same excuse that he's scared so he can stay and get cuddled. In case, like me, anyone forgot that was a recurring thing that he did. Also, I didn't mute the music, by the way. So normally there was like there was some like, copyright free, like, the classic generic soundtracks from like way back in the day in Gacha, but this doesn't seem to have them, at least not yet, which is surprising. That little ice cream thief. Yeah, Elliot has become addicted to ice cream. Although, then again, Avery did have 4 tubs of ice cream with her, which is more than the average person, I would have thought. So, all right. Like in like a minute through the vid. Okay, fair enough then. Remembered Elliot, but I vaguely remembered the name. Avery couldn't recall why. Ah, well, there you go. I guess the technically the main character, I suppose. Yeah. Okay, this is feeling uncanny, but not for the right reason, I would think. Definitely some sort of suspense music would have served well here, because as the episodes kept on going, they introduced like, they were the Gacha was better at setting music according to what mood was on, because originally in episode 1 it was atrocious, but yeah, it got better over time. But I don't know if it's because there was no suspenseful music that was appropriate here, and so she chose silence, maybe? I don't know. Where is he? Yes. You need to file a restraining order against Marcy, honestly. She's already like, come into your domicile without your permission before, so yeah. Why are you here? Because we have school? And we walk there every day. You must be sick. I didn't realize I hit your head that hard. Yeah, last episode had some fairly decent choreography in terms of what you can do in Gacha, and yeah. That's what inspired Jax to get kidnapped by giants. Yeah, well, that's probably why Jax had Gacha Shipper's contact info, I believe. So yes, I think that was right. And I think I remember they being pleasantly surprised at like how much that this actually is better than Kidnapped by Giants was. I think because, it's one of the cases like, oh yes, you like the premise of it, but then like, like the actual characters being different sort of ruins it a little bit in the case of Kidnapped by Giants. But I think Jax is also working on a new version of Kidnapped by Giants now, so that might be fixed. I don't know. But also, hello, little serpent. But we've been friends since 2nd level. What could come between us? Well, I guess you did hit her head pretty hard, because it seems she's got very plot-convenient amnesia. I suppose I wonder how they were. I think they're still up, If you look up Kidnapped by Giants, you might find it. If not, the channel name is Jax Penwell. There's certainly reviews of them, so the links will be in the description if the videos still exist, but I'm pretty sure they're still public. I don't think he's told me that he's deleted the old ones because he's making new ones. At least not yet, anyway. Anyway, you took Elliot. I'm guessing you still have no idea who that is. Yep, there we go. Who's Elliot? You met a boy? Technically, she's not wrong. You know exactly who Elliot is. Where is he? I swear I did not give the Batman voice knowing what those dialogue was going to be. That just conveniently all came together. Anyway. It's a million that's a weird thing to bring up right now, but sure. Elliot. I'm so sorry, but I had to record. That's what you do when someone has a nightmare, right? You put a phone in their face and stick and film them while it's happening. Surely that's what you do, right? Why is Marcy's Warfare lacking outlines? Good question. I think that was. Yeah, I think that's new actually. I don't know. Oh, okay, yeah. And what nightmare procedure? Step 1, record a person while having the nightmare. Step 2, get tackled by said person who is already in a bed onto the ground. I hesitate to ask what step 3 is and what doctor certified this recovery program. You didn't exist in Oh, that's why. It wasn't that she hit her head and she got amnesia from what had happened. It was because Elliot wasn't around and therefore Marcy was still friends with her. Only problem is, and this is why it's good to go back and if I remember I was go back and watch other videos. I just tend to forget most of the time. But since I did it now, I can tell you this. That shouldn't have worked because Marcy already stopped being friends with Avery before she captured Elliot. Because what happened was she said, and I quote, "I don't want to be friends with ugly." Because supposedly Avery is the only wolf with basic colors, which another thing that doesn't make sense because if you're the only wolf on a planet with specific types of colors, they are by definition not basic. But anyway, aside from that, linguistic issues aside, yeah, Marcy just wasn't around for that point. So surely she would have already. I mean, she tried to make amends after that, sure, before she tried to, reported Elliot like twice. But even then, Avery still didn't forgive her. So showing up on her doorstep like that, having no memory of what was going on, still implies amnesia and not Elliot being written out of the continuity. But maybe because it's a dream, we'll say we'll give it some leeway. The news of something wasn't right. I mean, I guess something wasn't right. That is fairly true. I never heard of someone like removing a piece of a piece of scene setup in order to emphasize something wasn't right. But hey, maybe it works actually. It's okay. I'm here now. Either that or I'm a ghost. But you're cuddling me. I can't escape, so I'm not a ghost. I'm tangible. I think you're a ghost. Okay. So Gacha Shipper a while ago, in the last episode, said, again, it's all fresh in my mind, corrected the you're to the correct you're, the you are abbreviation. And then specifically said, like, here, are you happy now, you Grammarly people? It's like, yes, we were, until you made the same mistake later on in the same video, and then continue to do so throughout the rest of them. If you correct yourself once on an exam, that's not going to make the rest of it magically, not come up as spelling mistakes or something. You're still getting a bad grade. So, yeah, there you go. Grammar count to 1, exactly. Thank you, just kidding. Can't wait to see all those dead relatives I hate. And the ones that I presumably also love because I had flashbacks about my parents and that whole thing. So, Thanks for making me feel better, Elliot. Stop tapping me and we'll call it even. That's a fair point. This probably really hurts, to be honest. I think I reviewed this before I broke my arm, but if anyone remembers like how I broke my arm, what happened was, I think it was actually, that was also a time that I was wearing like the other shirt. We were at a family gathering, and my cousin, who was at that point 12, was just about to enter like a massive growth spurt, but I hadn't quite got there yet. And I used to give like piggybacks all the time. And this day was no exception. We were just out in the car park right as the event was actually wrapping up. You know, everyone was saying their goodbyes and, you know, I don't know, doing whatever else they're doing or whatever. I forgot like where their cars were or something. I don't know exactly what it was, but I was just like rushing around, and I happened to be doing a little bit of parkour with her. Not really parkour. It was more so like, you know, there's something so like a patch of like dirt between like two like car park spaces or something where like plant trees sometimes or whatever. It was one of those. We were jumping through those with my cousin on my on my back, and what happened was, because it was so dark, I was able to see the edge of the dirt or whatever. What I couldn't see was the mud that was there. So what happened? So I slipped and then whacked my knee, collapsed onto my arm. My other hand also got like bruised or whatever. But my elbow, particularly my radial head, according to the later walk-in clinic that I went to, my radial head fractured because you know, we had like, you know, the weight of my 12-year-old cousin on me like that, you know. Like, you know, she wasn't, like I said, it's before a growth spurt. She's not like super heavy or anything, but was still a human of the age of 12, and therefore obviously, you know, weighs what a 12-year-old human weighs. So, or whatever. So that was so if I just like collapsed, like fell like that, it would have been fine, but it was like the added pressure that then smashed through like that. And the reason I bring that up is because, again, she was probably like, I don't know, half my size or something like that, whatever, at the time. Elliot has said before, we've gone back and forth between the scaling between these two, but usually it seems like Avery, because of course she's called my tiny human, Avery seems to teeter between like 1.5 times as tall to 3 times in the dialogue sometimes. So if she's 3 times his size, tackling him on purpose onto the ground that is not properly cushioned like that, admittedly, not as bad as the concrete that I fell on, but still, the added pressure, there's definitely something that's getting fractured there if you're not careful. So absolutely stop topping him like this. He is going to do some serious damage, and we all know that in this world, doctors have other ideas regarding humans. So, not a good idea to send to a hospital. That's my take there. And I breath because Ava's kind of crushing his lungs. Yeah, and also staying on top of him afterwards. My cousin had the good sense to get off of my back before, you know, like when we fell. So, so that doesn't. So yeah, like Ava's just not being considerate in the slightest here. Isn't a word in this context. Over topping is the cause of pizza or ice cream toppings. Ah, yes. So this is something that that Taming the Bad Boy has informed me of. Yes, topping is indeed a word in this context. It is used in a lot of NSFW contexts, actually, as a reference to, you know, the practice of being a top or a bottom. The top being the verb in this case means to do something in order to act like a top in that sense, and tackling somebody so you're in a position on top of them can count as topping in that sense. That's the best way I can describe that without YouTube demonetizing me. Oh, Poised Boba, hello. We were just talking about you before. Anyone who doesn't know this and watching the VOD doesn't remember what I said at the beginning, this is the person who re-uploaded the videos in question. So the link in the description will take you to this person's channel, not Gacha Shipper. Just consider that I'm gonna stay right here. Again, not being considerate at all. His poor lungs. His effing lungs, Avery. Yeah, that's awkward. I'll stop. Yeah, never again. Well, I didn't say that. You should. Why? Oh, hey, Dork. What sounds good for breakfast? I don't know, whatever you want. You. Oh, okay. This is another thing, by the way, that I've never liked about this series is the pacing sometimes feels way too fast, but only of like specific frames. I mean, like on a frame level, it feels fast because we have no time to sit with the reaction of her saying "you" for breakfast. Particularly because remember, humans also have trauma regarding like eating, so you know that's not the best thing to say. And also, okay, so here we go. So yeah, but back onto this frame. If this frame lasted for a bit longer, and also bear in mind that Elliot is reacting to the line as it's being said, when what happens for humans, like actual humans, is this delay. So what should have happened is she says the line, he then has a reaction frame that we can see for a bit and register his reaction, and then Avery says your face. But it happens way too quickly to register that, and you have to pause and go back and look at it. And if that's the case, that can break someone's immersion if it's not paced properly and they're not actively looking to pause something like what I'm doing right now. For this video, it doesn't matter, but for the original video, it certainly does. Yeah. Calm down, I'm just kidding. I'm gonna go pick up something instead. What about school? I got a day off because I have to work on an essay all day. That's not standard practice in schools to give you a day off to work on an essay. I mean, maybe it should be, but I don't know. Yeah. Oh, okay, yeah. For 250 pages, that's absolutely correct. And also, given that Avery is like 18, that is like way too much in general for like honestly any essay. Like I have to ask. I think I think my dad's like PhD submission was not that long. 250 pages. What could you even say during that time? What's the topic in question? The entire history of the world in general. Bill Wirtz covered that in 20 minutes. You don't need to do that. Also, as far as I understand here, Avery is not part human because wolfies are an entirely different species, and humans, based on what I've seen in the first 3 episodes, may or may not be from a different planet originally. So they might have just evolved entirely separately, which explains why one species has 4 ears. But yeah, 5 pages say with 2 verses. Yeah, Avery's is historic. Yes, absolutely. Anyway, I guess I got some waffle tower. I think that's a chain. That's a food chain, right? That's like a brand. I'm pretty sure. I don't know. What do you want? Well, I mean, if I had to guess, waffles, but I don't know what else they'd. The same thing you got last time. Okay, a Waffle House I've heard of, absolutely, but yeah. Yeah, there's no absolutely some crazy work. It would take ages. That's why like PhD things like take years as well, because in fact, actually, that's one thing that my dad said was that, you know, some of the actually no. I once met the person who like reviewed my dad's like PhD submission before he was awarded like his doctorate. And and the thing that he actually like said as like a story to embarrass my dad was that he asked him about one of his references and one of his like calculations that he'd done or something. And my dad admitted when during like the review, because like when you review like a PhD document, like you have like a whole panel of people like asking you about like everything to do with your submission, right? So you know that, you know, so you're not you don't get with like just like citing random sources and not checking them or whatever, which would be terrible for me because half my sources of everything were in Spanish. But anyway, the so what he said, my dad said was, you know, that was a calculation or a source that he got like 2 years ago and he's forgotten all about it. Just admitted that right there. That could have technically cost him everything, but I guess they found it amusing enough. And he also found it amusing because this was like during like one of his book doing like that his book signings things that he does sometimes. And for I think his second latest book, I think he's published one since then, maybe two. I don't know. He publishes a lot, honestly. But then but yeah, so during that point, and then my dad himself brought up the story, so clearly clearly didn't work. See, this is where I get my, share tons of things about yourself, make yourself as an open book as possible, so people, so people try to dig up embarrassing stories or something, you can just be like, oh yeah, no, that happened. Anyway, good, because I'm not sharing. Can you carry me? I don't want to get up. I think Ellie's entered the food coma now. You're fine. Yep, still the yaw. But I wanted you to carry me. Enough with the puppy eyes. I'm not carrying you. I do like the puppy eyes as a thing in like the wolfy species specifically. Oh, we're well past this. That yeah, like honestly, there've been so many yaws in general. That's like a general one for all of them. I also love how the correction of this, the width there, is capitalized when the E is lowercase, which means that the correction is wrong. And part of the video was also ignored in terms of correcting. Fine. Yay! Is one way of carrying somebody. I will definitely say that my cousin would not fit on my head at the time. Mm-hmm. Let's see what that fixes. Yeah, okay. You wanted a ride? There's your ride. That is true. He didn't say where he was going to go. I'm going to go do my essay and have no time for anything else because I don't even know if a human can type 250 pages that quickly. I have books to take on that, but anyway. Did a baby just like Naruto run? Oh, okay, it's a human now. Because they said baby cries. Okay. Send me to a lab to be less than you ever do! I don't think I should be talking big in this situation. I'm not sending you to a lab. I'm taking you with me. Is Avery's trajectory just gonna start like a human orphanage or something? Like her entire house is like a safe house now for all like wayward humans. Now, when I step off, oh, that's why. I thought she was like standing behind, but yeah, fair enough then. It's Gacha, I get it. Now, when I step off, you're gonna tell me your name, and we're gonna head to my house. I feel like I have to be like, okay, I agree. Psych, and then just leave. Like, what's keeping you at that point? My name is Adele. Avery. Now let's go. Yeah, again, there's nothing preventing you from running away right now. Just leave. What are you doing? A tape that had baby cries in it, then a human type. Maybe, but also, what a terrible idea that is to tackle a human like that. Okay, it's like, oh yes, I know how I'll get food. I'll steal it directly from like a giant specifically. When they're completely alone and I'm at their mercy. I already have a human at home. They gave me this necklace. That's true, that did happen. Though Avery could also be very easily lying about that. Adele really should have checked that. Elliot, I'm back and I have a surprise! I'm starting an orphanage! Come quick! I brought ice cream. I brought the biggest spoon I could find! And it's becoming Deandra for most popular goes into school. The tape on the ground before touching it. Okay, yep. Okay, fair enough then. I'm still saying it's a bad idea. I'm not saying it didn't happen, but yeah. Who's that? This is Adele. She's another human I met. I'm not actually a human. Oh, okay. So there was a thing in the last episode that I, again, just watched it now. There was a scientist that was working there or something that said that they had these pills that meant you could actually like take them and then be able to transform between human and wolfie at will. Didn't say if it was like if I had like a ton or anything, just said that you could do it, so I presume it's like forever. So this is this is the Lilith gambit from Fallen Angels. And it worked like a charm again. Maybe that tape is not such a bad idea after all, then, if Avery was the target. Oh, okay, never mind. I just wanted a place to hide. Wait, what? You might want to sit down for this. I mean, there was a sofa right behind you, but sure, you can sit down in this room instead. Why did we move locations? Oh, there you go. I used to work at the lab. I like how it's just the lab. I used to be a wolf. About a year ago, when I was 20, important to note, I guess, we were told to look for new staff. Which also, you're going to have been at the lab for that long, I would imagine, at that point, then. And I found someone named Raver. Which actually was the name of the person from before, so it's not the same scientist. So I'm guessing this is one of the test subjects for the pill thing I mentioned before, and just happened to, you know, maybe it was a trial run or something, because it says I used to be a wolf. Raver definitely said that the idea was you could transform back from back and forth, so this might have been a trial run that went horribly wrong. She was hired and I became her assistant. So odd when she sits down. Yep, Gacha Life 1 right there. Just as well that Mowena's tale sort of actually works, but yeah. Why it's just Avery backward without the actual like dot in between. You know what? The dot was really important to keep that illusion, not gonna lie. Oh yeah, like I said before, her invention was a pill that would give the wolf the power to morph to human or human dwarf anytime they wanted. Yep, that thing. She gave me her first pill since I was her assistant. You know, normally scientists do trial runs and people are not involved with the experiments. But apparently we didn't get that now, for some reason. I guess there weren't that many wolfies that wanted to become humans, I guess, but yeah. But since I was sick at the time, I turned to a human, but I couldn't turn back. Oh, so the first trial would have been a success, were it not for your particular illness. Okay. But instead of helping me turn back, they were going to experiment on me. I mean, what, implying that you were like a pure human at that point? If they already... Here's a question. If they know the human metabolism and anatomy enough to program it and make a pill to go back and forth between it, what more do they need humans for exactly? What are these experiments all about? Like, what's the point of them now? What's left for them to discover that requires somebody like that? And if she refused, couldn't they just like have another person who could change back from a wolf beforehand volunteer to be experimented on? I'm sure there'd be somebody willing to do that for, you know, a significant raise of some kind. You know, there'd be no reason to subject someone to that. There'd be no reason to kidnap any more humans. If her being experimented on means that you can just do that for anyone who becomes a human, keep doing it for like other people on trials. There is no other reason behind doing this now. You've undercut the entire the entire conflict of the story now. I ran away.
They didn't tell my family or friends anything. I guess I could have told them myself, but sure.
I remember they've taken her back to the. Oh, I guess back to the lab. But okay, yeah.
And instead faked my death.
I guess by what you mean is like you went missing, disappeared, already faked your own death. Okay.
I adapted to my new life. And now I look like this.
I think that was the. Anyway.
But that is the only actual human left.
How do you know that? Because all the reports we've seen so far is like humans have been around the city for so long or something. If you've been away from the lab for so long, how did you have like any records on the other humans that are there? How do you even have records on humans that were never captured in the first place? What kind of statistics can you actually even take to do that? This makes no sense now. I'm so sorry.
It's not your fault. All that I ask is that I'm allowed to stay here.
Of course. Sir. Yes? So, you know how we got connected to the astronauts? Oh yeah, this came out of nowhere last episode as well. Sometimes there'll be like scenes in shows where, you know, where this where shark jumping sort of comes in almost. There's not quite a shark jumping moment, but it definitely felt like, oh, okay, this could have been like woven in a bit more organically, but it wasn't. Originally, in this episode, this already been established, so not as much of an issue. So, you know how we got connected to the astronauts? Well, we've also received weekly recordings from them. Wait, weekly? So like they've been recording themselves like how long they've ever been away for? That's that's pretty good actually. This character, by the way, apparently lost his brother and unborn nephew, or thought he did, and then was told immediately that they were, well, not immediately, but they're told that they could potentially still be alive. Dr. Puggles, what is that name? I get. You know, actually, that's a fair question. Puggles sounds like the name you give to a pet, but considering that humans are basically glorified pets in this world, that might actually be why. Like, Puggles might have been like a pet name given to him by a wolf, and then he just like took the name and ran with it. Potentially. Their last weekly update recording was 12 years ago. The reason their suits were on is because they didn't die. There's what? Hold on, I need to like StreamYard this. Oh, they didn't die, their suits. Okay, in their suits, I guess. So the reason their suits were on is because they didn't die in them. I mean, their suits could have been on and they still could have died. They just decided to put them on. That doesn't make it, that still doesn't, what? Our last update is them saying they've made enemies. Now we've got a posture where we don't need them to be there. Your brother and his wife didn't make it. Yeah, see, in reality, like, I'm of two minds about whether Dr. Puggles should have told this other character here, the boss, about the findings as soon as he did. Because on one hand, he needs to know because he needs to be briefed on this, and he has the right to know. On the other, the fact that they didn't have that much information on it, and it was only a hunch, did actually give sort of, you know, what we now know to be false hope, that his family that is probably, you know, gone through the grieving process of for however long, could actually still be, you know, kicking around. And now it's once again having to relive the news that they are dead. So I don't know the answer to that. I don't know if I were in this scenario of Dr. Puggles, I don't know if I would have told him as soon or not. It's not one of those easy answer questions, actually. I'm sorry. Also, this is what I mean. The music has gotten way better. This scene, very much like, and the last one, the music carries the emotion behind that for sure. And my nephew. Well, I think you should listen to the recording. Let's go to the recording box room, I guess, which is the only place that we can listen to recordings, apparently.
The year is 2010, and this is astronaut Grace Ponadell.
Almost Poodle, but not quite. Open the door! FBI, open up! I'm kidding. Oh, okay. I've said before that, you know, I'm not so much of a fan of like having actions be like typed out in gacha. Because I mean, most of the time you can see them for yourself, or there'll be a way to actually exemplify. People use it a lot, say, like in chat, to bypass what they didn't know how to do in terms of like editing with gacha, even if they were like simple fixes they could have found later. In this case, I don't know that because we've got music in here of different types, but it's possible that the Gacha Shipper didn't have a second audio track to put sound effects on yet. So maybe.
I'm here with my husband and my child. My child is 6 years old.
Here on this planet, see, different planet here, we've made enemies. There's a society of we are wolves. And they're way more bigger than us. That's 2 more, by the way. They're not Quadzy. Just kidding. Oh wait, no, 3, because more bigger. You don't say more bigger. That's 2 comparatives. That's yeah. So 3.
They do not wish for peace and are trying to kill us. We're going to hide our child in hopes he lives. We figured out certain weaknesses about the wolves.
The wolves.
But are out of ingredients to make them. Are we gonna die?
No, you're not gonna die. I do like that answer, actually, because it tells you everything you need to know about like what their plan is.
Why are you sad?
I mean, you're scared. You're being hunted by soldiers. That's reason enough to be sad. I love you, Elliot.
I love you too, Baba.
It's kind of like Elliot. Yeah, in again, for the VOD watchers, it's been 3 years since we last watched these, so anyone from my side of, you know, of the chat that wasn't, you know, here already, yeah, they might not remember that, but yes, these two have shown up in the past, and we have seen Elliot in flashbacks with his parents, who are those two. So yeah. This almost made me cry. Well, if you want a scene like this that is even this close to making you cry, actually, I would suggest checking out the first few minutes of The Broken Angel by Midori Stories. Because not only do you have the sense of like escaping from certain doom, but also, you know, you get a child who doesn't get to hear the last words that the person saying the way actually sends, and they see them actually getting petrified by their very eyes, unable to do anything. It's sadly one of the best parts of that whole video, but it's still really good. Get away from me! Get over here! Let's get off. You get in the box. Oh, the box. It is Fallen Angels. Papa. Yep, I can understand why that may almost make someone cry, particularly because also the music actually faded out at an appropriate time there. I don't know if that was like worked out beforehand or something, but that was really well put together music wise. Again, far cry from the first episode.
You like him?
We're actually dating, as those we are.
Can I talk to you alone?
I'm not alone, but yes, you can talk to me. Sure.
I've never met a wolf like you.
You've never met a wolf like me.
You went out of your way to help someone who is an enemy to us wolves. Why?
Someone shouldn't deserve to die because of what they are. I would have changed that to someone doesn't deserve. It was like no one deserves to die because of what they are. Rather than someone shouldn't. But that's obviously personal preference there. That's very nitpicky from me. He didn't choose to be human. I was the cause of someone's death and I couldn't let myself do it again. That's very interesting because when the soldiers came in to hunt Elliot, like that to like the hunters, the human hunters, whatever they're called. I don't know. The Avery did in fact shoot two of them, but they did specify earlier in the episode that their guns were specifically designed to incapacitate humans. And so it took multiple shots to take down a wolf, obviously, but same effect, basically. So they were essentially tranquilizers. And then she left the three of them down in a well, presumably to rot down there. But I don't think that's what she's talking about, because A, depending on how much time has passed, they're probably still down there. Or B, this is a different part of the story that we're going to find out at a later point in time. Or C, Marcy didn't survive the beating she got last episode and she's actually just bled out in the mall. Probably not that one, but hey.
I never met someone like you, already said that, but yes, again. Although you have your own reason why you saved him, you still didn't want someone else hurt.
Well, but yeah. She did say that first and then like had that. Again, kind of a bit like my D&D character who, was never, I imagine was never originally, a fan of ending someone's life as a resort of, dispensing justice because they were mystery solvers. That was even like on the table until that time. That was their first mission where someone died that she was unable to save, and that just gave her a complex for the rest of time after that. But also, even if that hadn't happened, it still would have been a case of like, well, maybe if that hadn't happened, she would have warmed up to the idea eventually. But she still would have started off very, very hesitant about that. Yeah. You get a backstory, you get a backstory, and you get a backstory. Exactly, yeah. Oh. Okay, I really like that. It's like with this style of gacha, like this screenshot heavy gacha, usually when someone changes their hair, it's only like one like jump cut frame. But that was actually really well done in terms of like actually seeming like a braid and being paced properly according to this. I want to watch that again, actually. Hold on. I want to see that again. Okay, so it was essentially like shifting through like several different like poses there. Once you see them in slow-mo or like you're actively focusing on them, you can see which ones they are. But in the moment, if you're just like a casual viewer, like not pausing the score going on, it almost is like the hair's like wrapping itself and braiding itself like as fast as it would be. So yeah, again, very impressive. You almost stepped on a tail there. Be careful next time.
You're a real good person, Avery. I think this world really needs people like you.
This Gacha Club, not Gacha Life. It might be. Oh wait, actually, no. This is definitely Gacha Club because the characters will be able to tilt their heads up and down. That's the giveaway. Yeah. If that's the case, there should be a bit more of leeway to posing. But anyway, whatever. Hello, dear.
Who were the humans you helped?
Oh, that's right. There was a character named Jamie last episode that was mentioned by name. We didn't know who that was, so I guess we're meeting her now. Okay. All right, then. Also, yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah, there's I said Gacha Life 1 because I remember this being like an old video and I like defaulted to it, but yes, 100%. I have in fact used Gacha Life before, but absolutely but actually, that should have been the giveaway. Yeah, you're right. Brain fart, I suppose. Returned to my tiny human again. I've no one's holding me hostage. I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm okay. There's earrings on the human. Yeah. Of course. For those who don't remember, just to bring up my use of gacha before, some of you are new here, so I'll say this. You know, my main gacha series is the Mutant Girl, and during that, there's a character who has a mutation that gives her bear ears, which means that every time I portrayed her, her human ears have always been obscured because, in my mind, with animal hybrids, they wouldn't have evolved to have two sets of ears because why would they evolve to have two sets of ears? So we always point out that where the characters have 4 ears, and it gets even worse when someone like pierces the human ears, because it draws attention to the detail of them having the human ears, because it means that the creator knows about that problem, and instead of like actively addressing it, made it worse. That's why I bring it up. There was somebody who actually it was actually my then girlfriend made an account in honor of Empress from the Mutant Girl. She's also the voice of Empress, but yeah. In honor of Empress, and made like several different like Instagram posts based on Empress. And I had to decanonize the entire account because she actively showed Empress's non-existent human ears and pierced them. That's how particular I am about this. So yes, absolutely, that's why the ears so bright in the character designs. Probably because the rest of them is bright as well. Because, you know, again, Ava's the only one with basic colors. Like I said before, if she's the only one with those colors, they would not be called basic in the world. But whatever. But I guess because you have the non-basic colors, then you have you know, the brightness sort of permeates. And I think there's also some lighting effect. It's like a little bit of a lens flare from the top right corner that I think is supposed to be like some sort of like light fixture. I think that's the idea. Not that I know anything about that, of course. Yeah. Their names were Grace and Alexander.
Did they have a child?
Yes. Evan or Ellie or something like that. Elliot? Sweetie, how do you know his name? This is yeah, if you don't want to draw attention to yourself, then don't bring this up, but yeah. Also like outlines. Well, they're related, I'm pretty sure, so I guess that's an inherited trait. But now you mention it, it is weird that the ears specifically are the ones that lack the outlines. Don't get too excited. But my old friend Avery is hiding him. The only problem is they've called exterminators twice and they've gone missing. Twice? I mean, I said before it was twice, but like the second... Oh, yeah, because it was the first time I was in school, yeah. So it means she's not going to give him up easily. this is gonna be like I don't know if anyone here has seen the Blues Brothers, but I would love the idea of like of just this would be impossible to do in Gacha pretty much because it would require so many moving parts. It would just be impractical in general. But like, imagine the final scene of Blues Brothers where they call so many people for backup. It gets ridiculous to trace down these two people. The army gets involved for some reason. They're also in like the building. Every like police officer, like, of course, like several states is there. It's it's quite something. That's what I'm picturing.
I have a plan.
Okay, interesting. So Jamie, who helped the humans previously, seemed to have an ulterior motive, which actually was implied in the last episode. Because during Elliot's flashback of Never Trust a Wolf, he brings up Jamie's name as an example of someone trying to help, but then that gets shut down to say that, oh, it means like they need to lap yourself or something, never trust a wolfie. So, yeah, actually, I can see why they mistrusted Jamie now. There's something else going on there. And that's also an example of like where the gacha name tags comes in handy, because otherwise you wouldn't have known that was Jamie necessarily until like sometime later. But I guess the point was to have the end of episode reveal. So yeah, that was My Tiny Human. I guess the all over again refers to the adoption of a new human from that point. So, or one new human, in quotes, Adele, basically. Which, yeah, I'm looking forward to that orphanage, not gonna lie. Yeah, that was honestly, going back into this, I was somewhat dreading it because my experience with a Gacha Shipper has been tarnished by Bad Girl's Little Boy. But I forgot that My Tiny Human was, again, something that I was surprised when comparing it to Kidnapped by Giants, about how much I enjoyed it by comparison. But also, oh, which by the way, speaking of Kidnapped by Giants, Jax, since you're here now, there was somebody asking before about I think it was Special One Q actually was asking before about Kidnapped by Giants and where to watch it. So I'm pretty sure they're still public, right? But if you want to like verify that, then there you go. That's your there's your networking. Anyway, back to this. So so yeah, like this that I was also concerned when I rewatched the series because I've seen before where there's certain series like by people like Lily Trescott, for example, where where like it was very clear that the series was intended to be like 3 episodes. It was only enough story for them. And when we got to the scene of the uncle seeming to come out of like nowhere, not being built up properly into the story, I got concerned about that. And but actually, now seeing where this is actually going and how much seems to have been figured out, at least behind the scenes, the only like obviously some of the stuff I was not happy with, like Adele completely undermining the entire conflict of the story, because now it makes everyone now it makes everyone in the lab seem like complete idiots that are wasting all of their resources. Not to mention, if Elliot's the last human, how many of them actually were there in the first place, and why were they? Because it'd be like a big, massive threat if there weren't that many. So it does raise a number of questions that that I hope get addressed at some point. Some of you have assured me that there's some things get answered later on. Private them. Okay, I'm gonna address this quickly, because this is something that I think the Gacha Shipper set a bad example for. Because given what everyone had to go through to scrounge around to get to get these to get the Kidnapped by Giants in general, well, not Kidnapped by Giants, but get My Tiny Human up, the same thing could be said for Kidnapped by Giants. It shouldn't be like a standard procedure to like delete all of your content and then and then like have people have to scramble around for years to get it back to where it was originally. Like, I can't even imagine, like, when I tried to doing My Street 5 Years Later, I can't imagine if, like, My Street is my favorite show of all time. I can't imagine if Aphmau deleted that, how much I would have to go through to get, like, every single episode back, and that would have been, like, so harrowing to begin with, if that were the case. Just preserving the fan base around it during as much as I could during a time when it was not actively being fed anything already was, was like so well already was quite the task to undertake. But yeah, at least the reassurance was that it was still there for everyone. Because that's the thing. I understand wanting to move on with your life. I can even understand wanting to create a separate channel. Not everyone dedicates half of their entire life, like I have, to one YouTube channel, give or take a few others, like Butter Bunch, for example, that currently, but others in the past, and perseveres through that and, grows as slowly as humanly possible. Most of the time it's the case like, okay, and people have moved on from the gacha community in general. But the thing is that those people who've got there, they the one thing they always say is that they are so happy that everyone has enjoyed their content, that they got the audience that they did. So I don't understand why in that situation someone would take away what they already gave to the audience. I understand not wanting to do it anymore completely, but I don't understand deleting everything, especially if you're going to give someone permission to re-upload your content, to review your content, to continue to spread the word about your content. Why not just leave it up at that point? If you don't want to even do like that particular channel or something, if there's nothing on there, then so be it. And honestly, Jax, if you're planning to move on to different type of content, I would consider potentially making a new channel for it. Maybe even using a Fireball account for it. Because not only does YouTube reward novel channels and gives them more promotion to get them in the game a bit more, but also because like it seems like your channel was either inactive before that or there's just nothing previously. So again, that fresh start is probably what you would want in that situation. Asking me to continue and it would be annoying for me. Well, here's the thing. You could just log out of that account and not have to see those messages anymore. Just leave up the channel, leave the comments there, don't check them. Easy. Like, not that I can completely say that I am not familiar with people who persistently keep asking you to check out something or continue something that you haven't been doing for years, because I 100% understand that. But even that, but you have an opportunity to at least like let people enjoy what you had before, and potentially if they wanted to, do what people are doing for My Tiny Human, which is continuing it in some way, letting it actually live on and continue to exist. And if people are willing to make something continue and develop it further, I don't see the logic behind making it more difficult for them by depriving them of the original source in the first place. So that's why I disagree with the Gacha Shipper's decision to delete content. I don't think it's a good example to set for the Gacha community in general. Not that she's the only person that's done that. It's happened to a lot of other people that in the Gacha community in general. But every time it always causes way more speculation and grief than if they just left their stuff up for people to come back to years later with nostalgia. Because very clearly, if that had happened with the Gacha Shipper, My Tiny Human particularly would have continued to thrive without nearly as much of an effort behind everyone else. Can I call it the greatest series of all time or something? Whatever the comment was before that I can't find anymore. Absolutely not. I can't call it that. Definitely, it's undercut itself way more times than it needs to. But at the core of it, it has two characters that are actually kind of both benefit and also draw back from each other when they're not topping each other or whatever. like that's uh that's really yeah, that's really a shame. It has its very blatant issues, but at the end of the day, it actually in 4 short episodes, I've seen how much it's actually gotten better overall. So I'm actually now that I'm back into the game about this, I'm actually really looking forward um actually to seeing where it goes, which I didn't think would be the case even 3 years ago. Because the more people asked me to like to insist upon coming back to this, the more hesitant I was, even without like the permission of the creator that I thought had been taken away from me. But hey, now that I've crossed through that, then it's definitely something that's to return to. But as I say, for all the new people, it won't be until at least next week because I always leave it 7 days at least before I come back to a particular channel to make it fair for everyone. Tomorrow, actually, I might not be doing a gacha review at all. I might be doing an editing stream so I can finish up some of the scenes of Fallen Angels that Aiden has asked me. So if you want to see how I make gacha, tune in tomorrow at the exact same time, and I will see you there. But for now, please leave a like or dislike because your opinion matters. And subscribe if you've not done so already. And on that note, until next time, farewell.